Nick, ready?
We got a yes, baby.
Jeff, ready?
Of course.
Let's hit it.
Freshly picked and ready for consumption. Here comes another round of the Radishcast.
Another Radishcast coming in for you. I'm your fearless commissioner and unbearably excited football fan, Mike Fisher. Along with me, just like every time, are my co-host Nick Stoll and Jeff's 17 more weeks of toilet bowl champ Gregory. Let's turn some rumors into facts.
Hopefully it's only 17.
Yeah, let the countdown commence. I'd say unbearably excited for football is an understatement. I'm pretty. I've been ready for this, as you can maybe tell by the amount of articles and stupid stuff we've been doing since we opened the league like 3 months ago. So
Let's get it, baby.
You guys got big plans for week 1 games? Anything special?
Yeah, just post it up on the couch. That's my big plans.
Yeah. Nick, anything?
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, I'm flying home this weekend, so I'm gonna have to stream the game from a Delta flight. And then I got an early flight on Sunday. I got to leave my house at 5 a.m. just so I can make kickoff. So hungover after going on the boat on that Saturday. It's gonna be rough.
Oh, I'm super pumped. I'm glad Tony finally got some of these betting lines out. It's not like he said he would have done it, months and forever ago. But no, that's gonna be fun. And we got some of the lines. I'm curious to hear any of your guys' thoughts on any of them that are maybe interesting. Like having to bet on whether or not Albert O is going to get more than 380 yards.
Right.
How to even
exactly.
going about that. Nick, any of them interesting to you?
I mean, that Kenny Galladay, is he even going to be healthy the whole season? I think I'd have to
Way
take
to
the
pick
under
yours,
on it.
Nick.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Jeff, anything for you?
I like that Henry Ruggs one. I like yours, Mike, and then I also like Chartiers with Sutton. Those are the two that, when I look at these, are difficult for me because I could see Sutton being really good, or I could see him struggling, and same with Ruggs in that aspect. So those two were tough for me.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat with Ruggs. I'm really excited. I'm probably gonna bet the over, but it's probably gonna be kind of a maybe a hopeful thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be, praying that he gets over the 855 yards. I'm hoping for maybe a 1,000+ yard season, but that would be quite the jump for him from last year. That's for sure. So,
what was last year's total? Do you have that off the top of your head? I sure as heck don't.
He was only around like 300 or 400 yards. I think he was around 400 and something on the year. So
okay,
it'd be quite the turnaround, but. He had some injuries and another year in the offense. True. I don't know. It's always possible. Like I said, hopeful. All right. Well, we've taken, what is it now? Probably 9 months off of the segment, but it's time to bring her back.
This here's the Radish Recap.
Obviously, we don't have games from last week to actually recap, but we do have a full off season, so we're just going to go team by team and give some quick hitter thoughts on what we thought of the team's off season moves. So we'll just go alphabetically down the list. So we're starting with Aaron Rodgers' football team, Coach Tony Fisher. The only team in the league to not make a single trade all offseason, which surprises me. He's a relatively active guy. I've had trade discussions with him. I know other people have, but just couldn't get anything done, couldn't pull the trigger on anything. He did draft Elijah Moore and Jalen Waddle, two of his more noteworthy draft picks. I'm not going to go sit here and name, fourth rounders that he picked up. Put some additions to a weak wide receiver room. Either of you, let's start with you, Nick. What do you think about Tony's offseason in general?
That is interesting that he has no trades. Is the only trade he had last year that Chris Carson won? I can't remember. Maybe he had one more?
He traded with you, and then he also got Justin Jefferson from Cooley.
Oh, that's right. That terrible trade. Okay.
So two really beneficial trades for him.
Yeah, exactly. Elijah Moore, we'll see what happens in that shitty offense. I think they're going to have to throw the ball, so I don't know who it's going to go to. Resurrected Corey Davis, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you think that maybe Tony should have made some trades? Do you think there was spots where he probably could have improved, spots he had extra, anything like that? Or do you think he's going to be good sitting how he is?
I think he's got a strong running back room. I think they're a little bit older with Carson and Mostert, but, it's no secret that he thought his wide receiver room was a little weak, and he definitely compensated for that in the draft, and I think he had some pretty nice draft picks, but I was kind of expecting him to go out and get that signature guy in the wide receiver room to kind of put him to that next level. So I'm surprised he didn't, but he's got some guys out there that could step up here. So we'll see.
Especially pre-draft, I kind of thought he would maybe try to package some of those picks. He had two pretty valuable picks at 7 and 9 that I thought maybe he'd try to package with one of his existing wide receivers. If he could turn the 7th pick in Juju into a higher level receiver or something like that, I thought that could have maybe benefited him. But we'll see how it works out. Obviously, if Elijah or Jalen Waddle come out and ball for him, then clearly he made the right call.
I don't think it was no trades for lack of trying. I know. Like you mentioned earlier, Pike. I know I've had quite a few trade discussions with him, but we just can't seem to come to terms. So,
gotcha. Yeah. So we'll head on down to the next team. So Archduke Fish, which is my team, which you might notice is now just Archduke Fish. I was the Exalted Archduke last year. I kind of felt like it was a little much, so I dropped it to the Archduke Fish. But the was just coming between me and my fans. I'm like P. Diddy in that way. I had to shorten it down. Now I'm just the Archduke Fish. Now I'm just Archduke Fish. P. Diddy went to just Diddy, and I'm following in those footsteps. So my team from the start of the offseason, I lost Zeke. I lost my first round pick next year. And I lost the 103, which turned into Kyle Pitts. But from that, I ended up picking up Kittle, Brady, Derrick Henry, and Trey Lance in the form of that second pick of the second round. Also drafted Bateman and Marshall, two of my higher draft picks. Jeff, I'll let you give your first thoughts. What do you think about how my team trended given those gains and losses?
Yeah, I like the trades. You look at what you lost in Zeke and a 2022 first and 1.03 with Pitts, but you gotta love what you brought in with Kittle, Henry. I look at Zeke and Henry. I think Henry's probably better than Zeke in this year. Kittle over Pitts, obviously for this year, and then your 2022 first. You look at that, you turned it into Brady and Lance for the future. So, I got to think overall it's a plus year for you and a good offseason, Mike.
Yeah. So, and Nick, I'll throw it to you, but, I also turned around and then traded for Antonio Brown today. Am I crazy for trading for a 45-year-old quarterback, a 33-year-old receiver, and a 27-year-old running back all in the same offseason?
Well, win now, baby. I'm in the same boat. That's what I did. Give up all my picks. I'm trying to year the team.
Year of the fish?
Yeah, maybe. Year of the Monroe, really, lefties. So we'll see about Kittle. I mean, obviously, undeniable talent. What's that offense going to look like with the new quarterback taking over? I think it's we'll see. It'll probably be week 5. I think some statistics came out. If a quarterback was drafted that high, you're normally starting by week 5. I think, we'll see. Kittle, we'll see how Kittle does. I like that Tom Brady pick. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. Little slow start. I think was listening to a podcast about that, and the Bruce Arians offense, the slow start, how it happened. He picked it up even quicker. And shoot, he's going to have a hell of a year if you're trending from the end of last year. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm hoping it starts out in week 1. I'm starting Brady. I'm starting Mike Evans against a bad Dallas Cowboys defense, but a good Dallas Cowboys offense. So I'm hoping that'll be a little bit of a shootout. Maybe Mike Evans can get me like 130 and 2, and Brady will throw for 4. Nothing, just like a casual day.
Nothing.
something small for you.
Nah, I'm really excited for
Antonio
Bateman
Brown
and Marshall. I know you guys talked a lot about the guys that kind of traded for, but I'm actually maybe most excited about the guys in Bateman and Marshall that haven't done it yet, that I think both have an opportunity to show something this year. Even if they don't aren't playing in my roster this year, I think they could really, show me something nice. So, moving on to our next team. So Ball is Life and Coach John Lamers. So traded away Zach Moss, traded away the 2nd and 4th picks, which turned into of the 2nd round, which turned into Trey Lance and Rondale Moore. Traded away Brady, and really the noteworthy players he picked up from that was Deshaun Watson and then a 1st-round pick next year. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, if he comes back and plays, is going to be phenomenal for him. Whether that's this year, whether that's next year, we just don't know yet. But probably the most noteworthy thing that John did was drafting Chase and Najee 1-2. No surprise, but a result of trades he made last year to get both of those picks. So, Nick, this is your rival. Are you, feeling comfortable, or does he have a team that scares you a little bit after some of these moves?
I'm feeling decently comfortable. We'll see in the future. His team's super young. We'll see how they develop between Clyde and Najee. They could be a pretty stellar backfield. Like I said, he gained a 1st there, which is nice. Always playing for the future, that John Lamers guy. But those draft picks are the most noteworthy without a doubt. He lost Tim Brady, but I think Stafford's going to have a decent year this year. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a mediocre offseason for him. Besides those draft picks is what I think. Nothing too crazy here.
And honestly, the players he gave up, giving up Tom Brady and Zach Moss, I don't think a whole lot of Zach Moss personally.
No.
And Tom Brady being as old as he is, he got value for a guy that's 45 years old. You really don't get that ever.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think Stafford can come in and play. Jeff, what about you? Do you see it kind of the same way, that maybe his team's still a little too young to be competing right now?
Yeah. I mean, this year especially, he might have some good weeks where his guys pop off, but I think better days are in the future for John. Not necessarily this week or this year, but you think about that Watson trade. If Watson comes back to play, with the age of him and the young talent that he has on that team, it's going to be pretty dangerous if the pieces all come together. So, really the only thing Zach Moss is good for is a help to win in that toilet bowl when he got that late touchdown run. That's the only thing he's good for.
Still pissed. Still
Jeff's
salty.
favorite players in the league right now are Zach Moss and Tony Ballard.
Yep.
All right, we'll hop on to Benny and the Jets. Coach Ben Stelzer. Really all he gave up was his 1st-round picks the next 2 years, his future, and got Tyler Lockett and Mike Gesicki. Is that enough of a return, Jeff? I'll throw it to you. He also drafted Trey Sermon with his existing pick. But I really want to focus on the trades to start. Is Lockett and Gesicki enough of a return for giving up 2 firsts?
Yeah, see, Ben's in a kind of a win now situation with Cook. Diggs hopefully is going to repeat that for a couple of years, but Lockett, he just signed a few-year extension there with the Hawks. So, I like the player, but he's kind of, like we hit on it last year, a boom or bust every week. You just got to roll with him. You got to have him in there and hope he doesn't give you a 0 or a 1 most weeks. But, Gesicki is a high risk, high reward kind of guy. I think this year is going to be his year to prove it in the league, matching up with Tua there. So I like the trades, but giving up 2 firsts is definitely a lot to swallow. But I do like the addition of Trey Sermon where he got him at pick 10. I think that was a really savvy move on his end.
I think Trey Sermon is going to have a solid year this year. I will say, as much as Lockett is kind of a hit or miss kind of guy, I think he kind of fits Ben's roster pretty well because Cook is so constant, Diggs is so constant. If he's starting Tyler Boyd regularly, I mean, that's just a high floor guy. So to have that one guy that could potentially, win you an entire week, I think there's a lot of value to be seen there. Nick, any thoughts on Ben here?
I really don't like that. Gesicki, it's pretty much a first for each, right? That's really, really bad. I don't like that at all. I feel like he gave up way too much. But we'll see about Lockett. I mean, we talked about it earlier. If Russ keeps cooking, I hear a lot of good things. I think we talked last time on the podcast about increased play count. So he could boom more than he busts this year. And I think the target breakdown was pretty similar throughout the course of the year between DK and Lockett. I mean, end of the year, I think DK dominated, but so we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to Cobra Kai and Coach Kyle Stankowski. So lost Kittle and Watson. You might remember he traded away Zeke, but he also traded for Zeke, so that's not included in here. So lost Kittle, lost Deshaun Watson. Picked up Zach Moss, Rondale Moore, 2 firsts in 2023, and then 2 seconds over the next 2 years. So a lot of futures. You can even kind of include Rondale Moore as a future guy because he's, just as a rookie receiver, not a huge hit rate, probably looking more next year after before he really pays off. So this one kind of surprised me, the direction that he ended up going. Nick, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think about Stank's moves?
Yeah, I mean, at the start, it seemed like he was trying to win now, getting Zeke from you, trading away Kittle, and then he turns around and trades Zeke. I mean, that was a crazy bidding war, so I think he made out pretty well for the future.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at his team, he's old. Adam Thielen, I don't know how old Robbie Anderson, 28, 29? Yeah, something like that. Hawkinson, a pretty young tight end. But we'll see. I mean, he's playing for the future. Maybe he decided he saw Kyle's team and he thought it was the year of the lefties. So,
yeah. So, Jeff, do you feel similarly, like kind of like Nick said, and that's really kind of the point I was trying to get at is, he started out looking like it was all for the now. Now he's looking to the future. He's got a guy like Devontae Adams who's on a contract year who might, that could be a real depreciating asset once you come next year. There's no guarantee he's got a quarterback like Rodgers, an offense that feeds him as much. He's obviously a phenomenal player, but you would have thought maybe he'd try to take advantage of right now having a team with Zeke and Adams both there. What do you think about the kind of sudden change?
Yeah, I think he's, maybe not right now, week 1, week 2, week 3, but I think right around that trade deadline, he's going to be looking to move some assets and get younger and fully commit into this kind of gain as many draft picks and get as many young players as possible. Because you look at his bench and some of his wide receivers or running backs, he's got a couple younger guys. I do like his depth on his team. So, if he couples a few of these older guys and picks up a late first or a early second or something along those lines, he's going to be sitting in a decent spot. But it was surprising because I thought the trade with Zeke was a good trade, for both you and Kyle. I thought it was a pretty even trade on both ends. And, you look at Kyle's team with Zeke there, and with the plus that James Robinson's going to have with the injury to ETN this year, he's got a solid team. And, then to go around and kind of trade that away. And, yeah, he did get a lot for it. There's nothing you can argue about that. But would have been interesting if he kept all those assets.
Yeah, I think maybe the timing played into it because it was actually shortly after he traded Zeke away that ETN went down. So had that happened a week earlier where he knew he had James Robinson as such a strong running back, maybe he wouldn't have made that trade and would have played more for the now. So it's interesting how, we throw all these rankings and everything out in the preseason, but, one move turns a guy from he's got a good team to he's going to be the top of the league. So it's always really interesting. You know, we keep throwing all these preseason rankings around like we know everything, but you know, Nick was the top of the preseason rankings last year, and
that's true. That didn't work out well.
Finishing at 6th. So,
yep, that'll hurt.
So, all right, moving on to our next one, Coach Grizzly Adams and Coach Alex Cooley. So, a lot of moves, surprisingly, for a guy that made one trade all of last year. Picked up Devonta Smith with that 106 pick, picked up Deebo Samuel, James White, Mac Jones, Marquez Callaway, and a future first. Got rid of a future first, got rid of the 12th pick, which ended up being Michael Carter, got rid of CeeDee Lamb and Joe Burrow, got rid of Zach Wilson. Jeff, what do you think of some of these moves that Cooley made?
I really want to say that I like the moves, but when I look at the lost versus the gained, me personally, I think I'd be more in the camp of he gave up a lot, and yeah, he got some good players coming back, but you know, that CeeDee Lamb trade for me was tough. Burrow being so young, and he doesn't have a very good depth at quarterback behind Lamar Jackson, but I think he could have done a lot with that 2.12 where Zach Wilson got picked up for, you know, really good value at that spot. But even at 1.12 where Carter was there's some additions and guys on the boards that could have helped his team out a lot. So
yeah, when I look, it really just feels like he took good assets and turned them into a bunch of okay assets, if that makes any sense. You know, he traded away CeeDee Lamb and got, you know, ended up getting back Deebo Samuel and Marquez Callaway, who I think are a tier, 2 tiers, 3 tiers below CeeDee Lamb as far as, you know, a dynasty player. He traded away Joe Burrow and the 212 pick, like you mentioned. Zach Wilson went at that 212 pick, but he could have got Mac Jones, who he ended up getting back. So,
right.
You know, it's just really interesting. It seems like he traded away better players and got back more, but maybe less quality. Yes. Nick, what are you seeing?
That same thing. CeeDee Lamb, I don't understand that. Go ahead and hit the drop, baby.
Nick's off the field impact.
Although I will say, for the record, you're a pretty fun drunk.
So I talked to Cooley multiple times about CeeDee Lamb. This was about the time I was trading for Keenan Allen. Reached out to Cooley, he pretty much shot me down right away, saying, Justin Jefferson, I don't want to make that same mistake again. And then I talked to him at the wedding, at Tanner's wedding. Once again, shot me down in the hot tub. He said, I just can't do it. Then not but a day later, I think 2 days later, he freaking trades I think a crappy trade. I think the off-the-field impact was he had to miss his flight and drive all the way back to Detroit. I think that got in his head, confused him a little bit. And I think he did the same thing. Yeah, I think he did the same thing.
Too much time in the passenger seat just staring at his phone and just decided to finally cave into the Monroe and the lefties.
I do have insider knowledge from Cooley himself that trade sat in his inbox for about a week. He got the trade. He just stared at it for a week. So you must have liked it from the start, right? To not decline it, to just sit there and be like, oh. But I agree with you guys. I don't see it. But
listen to this though. There was another trade in the inbox talking to Kyle that included Hopkins for CeeDee Lamb, and he didn't take that one. He took this other one with Mac Jones and.
He's a believer in Mac Jones and.
He's a future.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop to the other side of the equation there, and I am left-handed, and Coach Kyle Monroe. So, really, he is a guy that made 6-7 trades in the offseason. You know, it felt like he was involved in every other one. At the end of the day, it all boiled down to he got Zeke and he got CeeDee. Those are the players that all of those trades turned into. He got rid of Goddard, the 108, which turned into Lawrence. Got rid of Lockett, a 22 first, Marquez Callaway, Mac Jones. He drafted Fields with a pick that he actually he did get that one from you, Jeff, I believe.
Yep, he got that in the Goddard trade.
So that's another player that I guess he picked up. But those two big names, which took him from being a really good team to being a really, really good team. So, Nick, anything you're seeing with Monroe other than the obvious?
It's scary. I think he gave up one more first though for Zeke and that craziness, but he had so many firsts that he accumulated. So I mean, it's just ridiculous. His team's very, very scary. I was trying like hell to keep him from getting Zeke. Couldn't make it happen. I know Mike was rooting for me. It's like, you can't have him be this good. It's gonna suck. And then now he's got a young player in CD that I think he could have a huge ceiling, and he might be tier 2 wide receiver from like his whole career. We'll see what happens with that breakdown. I think Cooper signed, 5 years. He's going to be there 4 years, something like that.
At least 4.
Yeah. So we'll see how that breaks down. I think he's going to start taking over the number 1 here shortly. But
Jeff, how about you? You seeing anything in Kyle Monroe's outside of what's already been said?
Not a whole lot. You talk about his depth and his team, and he's even got some nice assets sitting on his bench that, last year he didn't really have that. So it's not necessarily like a 1 injury or 2 injuries is going to derail this team, because he's got enough pieces that he can slide into that starting lineup. And yeah, I mean, he definitely had a hell of an offseason, that's for sure.
He's had a good offseason of moves, but also an incredibly fortunate offseason. No injuries coming his way. Mac Jones winning the starting job to get the hype to trade him away. Mac Jones getting the job is good for Damian Harris on his bench. Marquez Callaway having one preseason game that turned him into the darling of all of fantasy Twitter, which that hype led to him being trading for CD.
Yep.
He's had a very fortunate offseason, I will say. Moving on to our next one, Jay's Juggernauts and Coach Jeff Gregory picked up Goddard, picked up the 108 with Trevor Lawrence, picked up Denzel Mims in a first, lost his 23 first, lost a second rounder next year, lost Gesicki and Jarwin. Decent amount of moving pieces. Really, for me, this comes down to the fact that you got Lawrence, which I think is a great long-term asset. I think Goddard has the potential to be. I think when you traded for Goddard, I expected him to be a lot better than now I expect him to be, because we were all thinking that Zach Ertz was going to get moved. Nick, what else you see on Jeff's side?
Yeah, it really boils down to that. I mean, everything moved around. You don't see too many glamour pieces. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a stud, I think. Especially, he might be decent this year, even, because that defense is so terrible. So, Goddard, I'm not in love with, like we talked about. Pretty much swapped first-round picks there and got that 22. So, I mean, you got a lot of young pieces. When ETN comes back too, we'll see how you look. I like your wide receiving crew. So,
Jeff, any of the smaller pieces that maybe you're excited about, like I don't know, Denzel Mims, if that's somebody you're excited, or being able to get out from Gesicki and Jarwin for some value, excited about any of that?
Yeah, so the big thing is I had 4 or 5 tight end one, or I should say starting tight ends that were borderline tight end ones, and early on I didn't need all those guys. So being able to move Gesicki for a first, I thought that was a decent trade for myself, and I think Ben's gonna see some return. But Mims, if I could go back, I don't know if I would do that Mims for Jarwin trade, but that was before all the reports of him losing 20 pounds and being sick all off season. But he's 23 years old.
You were going to be able to get Kyle Pitts too.
Yep, exactly.
True.
So it was right before the draft. The big thing for me, you guys hit on it, was getting Lawrence. That was what I was kind of targeting with that trade with Monroe, to get into that 1.08. And at the time, I didn't know if Joe Tom was going to be swooping him up at 1.06 or what that was going to look like, but was hoping he would fall to me, and he did. And you guys hit on it too. Goddard, I don't think anyone really expected Zach Ertz to still be there. So I was feeling pretty good about that trade. I think I gave up a lot, but was confident in the return. And some of these smaller assets too, I think I don't know. I think it's, like you guys mentioned, nothing huge, no glamour, but value adds, in my opinion.
Yep. our next one, Lick McCaff and Medak, Coach Jordan Chartier. Again, not a whole lot of glamour here, but picked up Brandon Cooks, which I think is a good ad. Picked up Leonard Fournette and Blake Jarwin. Lost Gaskin, which hurts. Lost the 211, which turned into Freiermuth, who's a good player. Jeff, anything with Jordans?
Yeah, Cooks, I think, is underrated and has been for the last couple of years. So he's on the Texans right now that have literally no hope
options.
and are going to be very pass heavy. So I think this is a guy that can get open and consistently is going to see a high volume amount of targets. So, and even with Fournette, all it takes is him to win that backfield again, and they're off to the races. So I think he gained some good pieces. Losing Gaskin hurts, but you don't know how long Gaskins is going to be a running back there. Even going into this draft, I saw a lot of reports that the Javonte Williams 2 picks ahead of the Dolphins, that was his pick. That's who they were going to get. So that Gaskins would have been no value at that point. So just kind of felt like that for Jordan. I think he got a couple pieces that are going to help him this year.
Yep. Nick, anything else for Jordan?
I don't like that Leonard Fournette. I mean, it's just going to be a headache, really, when it comes down to it. You never know who's going to start. And now with Gio there, too, there's the third down. I'm assuming it's going to be the third down. Did he get hurt, or is he actually going to be playing this first game?
He had a high ankle sprain.
He's good to go.
Yep.
Okay.
He's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just too many mouths to feed, and they ride the hot hand. That's going to be – I mean, if he gets lucky with it, it could be nice, but I don't love it.
Agreed. On to Old Man Joe and Coach Joe Thomas. So he picked up Joe Burrow, 3 first-round picks next year.
Good Lord.
The last pick of the first round this year, which turned into Michael Carter, as well as Noah Fant. Lost Keenan Allen, Deebo Samuel, and Devonta Smith. Honestly, that's a pretty good haul if I'm talking about it. He also drafted Javonte with his remaining first-round pick. Nick, thoughts on Joe?
I love that he gave Keenan up, but it was at a high price, and he's getting up there in age. So I see his direction. I mean, he was even talking to me. He's like, I don't think I have a chance to win this year. So it's a good move, a hell of a haul. I mean, getting rid of Deebo when he had Ayuk as well. I mean, you're never going to start both of those. I wouldn't. He's just betting on Ayuk getting more targets. So, yeah, hell of a haul for the boy, Old Man Joe.
Jeff, you getting nervous for the future of a rivalry with another young and upcoming team?
Yeah, he definitely made some good moves this offseason. He was involved in a lot of trades too, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but I think he won most of those trades, and so his team just consistently is getting younger and better for the future, and that does scare me a little bit as my rival. So
all right, moving on to the SCLSU Mud Dogs and Coach Troy Hecht and Joe Harper, coaches. Picked up Kyle Pitts with that 103, picked up Gaskin, Chark, a 2023 first, and Will Fuller. But the losses are Derrick Henry, Allen Robinson, Brandon Cooks, Leonard Fournette, and Tyler Boyd. So a pretty hefty list of losses. I don't think there's no value back, but Jeff, why don't I toss this one to you first?
Yeah, Mike, you hit it, and why don't you hit it again? So
Jeff's worst coach of the week.
So, if we're talking this offseason for this year and this coach and this team, this is definitely the biggest negative additions to his team and squad that I've seen. So the loss of Henry, Robinson, Cooks, Fournette, Boyd, those are solid players, and he got some return, but nothing that I think is going to be outstanding and really, really help him a lot this year. But that boils down to it, boys.
Yeah, and really what I think it is he needs the players that he got back to really explode in order to come out even. And that's a tough spot to be in. Nick, what are you thinking about it?
Yeah, looking at that, I think he's he's betting heavy on Pitts, which I don't mind that bet for the future. If he turns into those top 3 tight ends, we're going to look at this totally different. because we'll see how long Henry lasts. I mean, he's not really human. So Allen Robinson's still getting a little older. Mooney in there. Is he going to take some targets? Hopefully not. But
Hopefully.
Shark, Shark, I was not a fan of. We talked about that. I was trying to get rid of him, and I was crazy that people valued him as a first-round pick. So I'll take that. We'll see what shakes out with that, but I think it's a lot more hype than anything for Shark.
Yeah, I think Chark is still kind of living off of, he had a pretty good year 2 years ago. I think that team is going to be Laviska Chenault's team in the future. I think that team is going to be kind of Marvin Jones's team this year. I see Chark as, he's going to be there, but he's not the future. He's not going to be the alpha there, in my opinion. Will Fuller's really talented. If he can stay healthy, he's got a chance at popping off. I think that was a good trade he made, just Boyd for Fuller straight up. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Boyd is kind of trending down with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as the two young bucks in town. I think Will Fuller's got better days ahead. So I will say I think that one, was a nice trade for him. All right, moving on to our last and final team, the Taint Ticklers and Coach Nick Stoll. Picked up Keenan Allen, picked up Allen Robinson, Austin Hooper I threw on here, but that doesn't really matter considering.
That doesn't matter at all.
Where's Higbee?
Yeah, where's Higbee, baby?
Lost DJ Chark, his 22 first, his 23 first, Fant, and his 22 second. Jeff, why don't I let you give your thoughts on this before I say anything?
Yeah. I mean, Nick got rid of a lot of picks, but you can see the direction he's going for. It's the year of the Taint. So bringing in bringing in Robinson and Higbee is a pretty good add and a pretty good haul to a pretty dangerous starting lineup. He has Wilson and Kamara and Gibson already there, and so you add those two top end wide receiver ones and a tight end that could be right there as a potential. But, you did give up a lot of draft picks, Nick, so we'll see if it pays off for you. The future might be a little mucky, but you're okay with that. You're going for it this year.
Probably not the future of the Taint, but it's the year of the Taint. No. Honestly, I think one of the sneakiest losses, I guess, I don't know, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but losing Noah Fant, I think that's a guy that maybe is being sold at his floor right now. I think Noah Fant came in with a lot of hype, and it just hasn't really, everyone wanted him to be great in year one and great in year two, and he was just kind of okay. I think this year, next year, I think we could be looking at Noah Fant a lot differently, especially if, Teddy Bridgewater moves that offense in the right direction. If some other quarterback comes in and really steps that offense up, I think Noah Fant could be good.
That could be scary.
Yeah.
But it's no question that getting Keenan and getting Allen Robinson is a monster win for your team. So no, I'd be ecstatic if I was you, Nick. Want to take your victory lap real quick?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I also got a second back here, Mike. Second in 2020, I got back from John. But right.
I actually didn't even put that one on here because you lost Gallup and Edwards from that. I don't know.
That's true. Which we'll see. We'll see about the Edwards, and if Gallup moves, if he's the one that moves in offense, I could be regretting that one. But, I mean, it is. I'm playing for right now. You can see a lot of loss in the future. I mean, I sent that meme out where shit was on fire, so my future was on fire. We'll see. I mean, your team and Kyle's team look really tough this year, so I'm going to have to get a little lucky here.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a few top end teams this year, at least in heading into week one, but we could be surprised, Nick. Yeah, anything could happen.
Keep seeing this every year. I think we're going to keep seeing the divide get bigger and bigger between the haves and the have-nots. As people biff drafts, as people trade away picks, as people have injuries. Yeah. I think there's going to we're going to get to the point in a couple of years where there's going to be 2 or 3 bottom feeders that are really, we're total rebuild. Because even right now, if you look at it, right, Jeff, finished second to the bottom in our last coaches poll, but that's not a team that I'm confident I win, 8 out of 10 matchups against. that's
very true.
a team that's got a lot of players that can go off. So that divide doesn't really exist entirely yet, but you can see it starting to form. So I think it's going to be really interesting how this continues to shake out.
And
right,
to your
boys.
point too, Mike, just real quick before we move on, there's enough draft picks in 3 years that you can use to gain and get valuable guys to come into a team. So like kind of what Nick did this year is he went for it. And I think we could see that on teams that are kind of right there or close or middle of the pack that just sell their future for the now. So
yeah. I mean, one draft could entirely change. If you had a top draft pick last year and you drafted Jonathan Taylor and Antonio Gibson in the second, with the draft picks you had, your whole team just changed, right?
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah,
everything can flip in an instant. So, all right, let's hit it, boys.
Dive on into the Husky League matchups.
Our first Husky League matchups of the year. I am jacked from that drop. All right, first one is going to be yours truly, and the art. Oh, I almost said it. Archduke Fish.
The rebrand.
Taking on Grizzly Adams and Coach Alex Cooley. The Archduke is a 10-point favorite in this one. Whew, baby, gotta love it. Nick, why don't I give you this one first? What are you thinking about my matchup with Cooley here?
I'm gonna take the over on this one. I mean, my CBS just logged out, so I can't even look at the two lines right now. But
do you mean I'm gonna cover?
Yeah, you're gonna cover. I don't know why I said the over.
Oh,
yeah,
CBS
you're gonna cover
just logged
the.
out too.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm logging in right now.
That sucks. I can't look at our matchups to look at who they're playing and everything.
All right, well, I can talk about my matchup since I know the teams pretty well. I texted Cooley today, and it's funny. I hate playing against Lamar Jackson. I just don't like playing against Lamar Jackson. I don't really care that, I think I'm better than him at every other single position, but I don't like playing against Lamar Jackson.
That's exactly what I was
just because I know he can put up 40 points, and then it really doesn't matter if everybody else on my team outscores everybody else on his team. If he goes off that hard, then, what chance do I really have? So that's always a scary proposition. I think, Henry outduels Barkley. I think Jonathan Taylor outduels Mike Davis. So I'm not really concerned at the running back spot at all. Even my wide receivers, I have a lot of confidence in Mike Evans and Robert Woods and T. Higgins. So I think he's got some guys, but I don't think that they're anyone that's, really scary to me. I'm confident in myself. I'm taking myself here as well to cover the 10-point spread. Either of you back in CBS or have any thoughts?
The boy's back, baby.
Not yet, but
all right, Nick, what do you got on this?
Yeah, that same thing. I was looking at this earlier, and I think you win every position besides that Kelsey and potentially the quarterback between Timmy and Lamar. I mean, Tom Brady could have a hell of a game too starting out. So, I think Lamar's gonna have to put up a huge game to compete with that, with how much your team is better at every position. Sorry, cool.
You taking me to cover this then?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
And plus, Saquon too. He's going to be eased back into it to start. You know that. He's probably going to be on a pitch count there. Yeah. So he's not going to be the monster he normally is.
Jeff, any thoughts on this one?
I'm going to go opposite of you guys, and I'm going to roll with the champ in week 1 here. So, you guys hit on it. Lamar, Saquon, everything I'm seeing in the reports, can't say I've been looking too in depth on it, but looks like he's going to be full go, and that's a pretty good value to his team, and we'll see. 10 points is a lot of points. We saw a lot of blowouts last year, but I would bet to say the majority of them are going to be pretty close in this week 1 with pretty much everyone healthy and knowing who the starters are. So rolling with
Nick,
the champ.
I think you got one more thing you maybe want to talk about.
Nick's Bum of the Week.
Spare any change, sir? No, off!
Oh, that was
It's
the
not-
wrong one.
It's not a bum of the week.
It's
Nick's Garbage Time All-Star.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
I don't know why I have the bum of the week in my doc here, but yeah, Nick's Garbage Time All-Star.
You might have just been thinking of Cooley, and then that just
Yeah,
came in
right.
there. So.
That's ruthless.
Next week is Nick's bum of the week. Coolly.
already decided. We're already deciding that.
Calling it now.
So the Garbage Time All-Star, I was god awful last year. We'll see if we can turn that bad boy around. I know I kind of want to keep track of some of this stuff too. So my Garbage Time All-Star is Corey Davis, resurrected himself. We talked about it earlier. I think Sam Darnold and the Panthers are going against him. I think they're going to score a lot with CMC back, and I think the game's going to get away from the Jets, and Corey Davis is going to come down with a touchdown or some yards in garbage time.
So we need a threshold for what qualifies as a Garbage Time All-Star. Either a touchdown or 50 yards in garbage time.
Yeah, we can do 50 yards. That seems like a reasonable amount. Yeah.
All right. I think we're gonna I'm gonna ask Kyle Stankowski, but it could be anyone. I know Stank gave us some grief last year about our absolute guarantees. So maybe Stank, maybe this year you can track Nick's Garbage Time All Stars, and you can track Jeff's Keep on Cookins, and you can track our guarantees and see how we fare. Stank, this is me officially asking you. I'm not actually going to ask you. I just hope you watch the show.
We're putting a lot on your plate, Stank. Don't let us down here.
All right, moving on to our next matchup, which is Old Man Joe and Coach Joe Thomas versus Jay's Juggernauts and Coach Jeff Gregory. Right now, Old Man Joe is the 2-point favorite. Nick, why don't I toss it to you first? What do you think about this matchup?
I think Joe's going to cover this. We talked about you got young people in your receiver room earlier in the show, but your running back room scares me. So, I mean, Joe's not much better. I think it'll be close, but I think he'll pull the cover on that -2. DJ Moore, I think, is going to have a decent game. AJ Brown, we'll see. We'll see that offense. I'm really curious to see the target share breakdown, if they're going to keep relying on the run heavily. I'm sure they will, but that'll be interesting. So I'm going with Joe.
Is AJ Brown hurt right now too?
He missed practice today, but I don't know how serious it was. It was the first day, and they don't really have a report on him yet.
Oh, God, if that's the case, that might change
that would change things, but it doesn't matter. You're locking in right now.
Locked it.
I want to go with you, Jeff. I really do. In large part, I actually think Trevor Lawrence is going to have probably his best game of the season going up against that Houston defense. I think this might be Trevor Lawrence's. He's going to come out on fire, and everybody's going to think he's amazing, and then he'll come down to earth a little bit the rest of the season. But Tevin Coleman could be a sneaky start, but I just don't know. I just don't think so.
RB2.
It's fair. No, I hear you.
I gotta go with Joe here. I got Joe covering the 2 points. I don't think Trevor Lawrence coming out on fire is enough to make up for the disparity at the other spots. Jeff, who you taking?
I'm going with myself. I'm rolling with the Jugs. But
Jugs, baby.
Yeah, got to. I don't want to play Tevin Coleman. Don't get me wrong, but I think early in the year is going to be better for him than later. So I think I got to capitalize on that. RB2 spot is going to be pretty rough for me and pretty harsh throughout the year. So I'm more confident going into this week than I think I will be in later weeks at that RB2 spot. But
I think it's interesting to note, too, that Josh Jacobs has missed a couple practices. And
no.
They signed Peyton Barber. So.
Yeah. Oh, no, I hate that guy.
If Jacobs, for some reason, was out, I think that just gives a decent value add for Drake. But
that is true.
At least that's the one benefit of having your first and second round draft picks could join the same team in an off season. So
that's so brutal.
All right, so Jeff's taking himself there. I'll take this opportunity to remind everybody what we're playing for with our picks.
Oh, shut up over there, dude.
You guys want to give it a little kiss, give it a little lick? No, give some love. Oh yeah, this baby's beautiful. Maybe one of you guys can dethrone me this year, but I doubt it. So, moving on to our next matchup, the SCLSU Mud Dogs and Coach Joe Harper and Troy Heck taking on Lick McCaff and Medak and Coach Jordan Chartier. Lick McCaff is the 1-point favorite in this, and I personally don't think that line is big enough. I'm taking Lick McCaff to cover. I really don't see a world where Kyle Pitts comes out and is this amazing monster week one. It could happen. He could get a touchdown, but I think he's going to take a little bit of time to develop into that role, especially in a Falcons offense that I think is going to take a decent step back this year. The rest of the running back room is just a monster in favor of Jordan. A lot of those wide receivers, even, Emmanuel Sanders and Chris Conley are not guys I would be excited to start in any sense. So I got to roll with Lick McCaff here. Jeff, let me toss it your way. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm in the absolute same boat as you, Mike, here. Little bit of a change here. Yeah, it's not a 1-point line. It's actually a 9-point line because.
Okay, that's much better because the kicker is in.
To see that the kicker was not in. So
I was about to bring it up when you brought it to me.
That doesn't change my pick though at all. I still think that Jordan is gonna do that.
I also think that Jordan covers the 9-point line. So we're gonna change the line to 9 points, and I still take Jordan. But yeah, it looks like Kyami Fairbairn is on short-term IR, so I'm sure the rookie Evan McPherson, great 4th-round draft pick, Jordan,
oh baby,
step in and start at kicker. So, Nick, how about you?
Yeah, I'm taking the cover as well. I mean, he's finally healthy. He has Dak and CMC, Aaron Jones. That's enough to carry him against Troy, that's for sure. I mean, looking at his lineup, you have Pitts, hopefully. And then Patty Mahomes against Cleveland. We'll see how that rolls out with Cleveland. Always so much hype every year about them, but Troy's also starting Logan Thomas in his flex spot, so he loves him.
All right, what's worse, starting Logan Thomas in your flex or starting Chris Conley as your wide receiver?
Conley.
Yeah, I would say Conley as well.
Yeah,
it's probably worse.
Conley.
Watch him go off for 2 touchdowns and 100.
Of course.
Troy's
gonna destroy Jordan this game.
All right, coming up on our next matchup, we got the Taint Ticklers and Coach Nick Stoll versus Ball is Life and Coach John Lamers. Taint Ticklers are the 12-point favorites here. Jeff, what do you got in this one? What are you seeing?
12 points is a lot, but I am going to go with Nick and the Taint Ticklers here. Like we mentioned earlier, that addition that they brought in, Nick, in the wide receiver room, that's a lot. Those guys are going to capitalize early on in the season, and if they're playing the Rams, the Bears are, that is, and I think that could be a high-scoring game. Keenan Allen versus Washington, not a really good matchup, but that dude just gets open and always produces every game that he plays and is healthy. And so, I don't know. I really like your team this year, Nick, and especially this week. So that's a big spread, but I think you cover that.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is exciting for me because it's the first time in quite a while I've got to use this.
Mike's against the expert's pick. Are you gonna listen to a big dummy, or are you gonna listen to me?
I think you gotta listen to me here. I'm taking John. I'm taking John to win this game.
What?
I'm calling the cover. All I gotta do is get it within 12.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be sneaky. I think you said it, Jeff. Keenan Allen having a less than ideal matchup against Washington. Chris Godwin was on the injury report a little bit this week. He's full go now, but with such a busy wide receiver room, that's enough for me to question it a little bit. Allen Robinson has the Rams. It's a tough week of matchups for the Taints. And when you look at the other side of the ball, I think DK Metcalf is obviously a solid player. I think Jerry Jeudy, we're going to be sitting here in 3 or 4 weeks really wondering why we were this low on Jerry Jeudy. I think he's going to have a monster year this year.
I think so too.
I don't believe really in Jamar Chase all too much, but the rest of John's team I just feel like is being a little undervalued right now. So I think John has a strong start to the year here. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna take myself cover on that. I have to. You're the team, baby. But and looking at the matchups, a lot of them are tough, receiving room wise. Godwin, though, I mean, yeah, pretty good preseason. Nice connection with Timmy in that game. Did you watch that one at all?
I did not.
He looked good. I liked it. We'll see. Allen Robinson, all this hype about Mooney's got me a little scared on target share. We talked about that earlier. This would be the week that I think John could get me, but I got to be confident going to week 1 here. Yeah.
You going to roll with Galladay? You're going to stick him?
We'll see what he does.
Flex?
Injury report wise, it's going to be Galladay or Pittman. We'll see what happens when it gets closer to game time because that hamstring pisses me off. That guy just pisses me off.
And Pittman with being the one there now, can be a nice play.
Be decent there.
Zach Pascal's going to be the one.
You wish, dude.
All right, moving on to our next matchup. We got Cobra Kai and Coach Kyle Stankowski taking on Benny and the Jets and Coach Ben Stelzer. The Jets are a 4-point favorite here. Nick, why don't I throw this one to you first? What are you thinking?
I'm saying they're going to cover. I think Benny has too much solid star players there. I know it's Devontae. You got to overcome Devontae on the other side, but Dalvin Cook, Diggs against Pittsburgh. He's only projected 14. I don't know about that. I'm going to take the star power of his core group of people for Benny. Hopefully lock those off. I'd like that as a Russell Wilson owner. So I think Cooper Kupp, I tried to trade for him. That was, again, around the time I was trading for Keenan Allen. I think that offense is going to be good, but maybe I'm just a homer for Stafford.
Yeah.
Jeff, what are you thinking about in this one? Nick's got Ben covering the 4 points.
I have Stank written down here, and the more and more I look at it, the less and less confident I am. But I'm going to stay true, and I'm going to stick with Stankowski here. And I'm thinking Robinson is going to get a touchdown at some point, and Adams against the Saints has always been scary. So even though Ben can kind of offset that with Rodgers, I think Adams has a monster games just like last year. And, for some reason, I think he finds a way to cover the spread. So
it's funny. You had Stank written down and started questioning it. I had Ben written down and actually changed it.
What?
So I'm going with Stank here. The more I looked at it, the more, I think Melvin Gordon being projected for 9 points is a little under. I think people are a little overreacting to Javonte Williams getting the amount of run he got in the preseason. I do think it's Javonte Williams' team moving forward, but Melvin Gordon's on the end of this deal. I think they're going to use this opportunity, use this year to really run Melvin Gordon into the ground, use him a good amount. At worst, it's going to be a good split there before they really turn the keys over to Javonte. So I think that he's got that. Robbie Anderson, I think, has a great game, revenge game against the Jets.
There it is. I do too. I think Carolina's going to go off.
TJ Hawkinson, I think Detroit's down very early, and they have to pepper him with targets. I think Stank, if nothing else, keeps it real close, and I think 4 points is just enough to have me on Stank's side here.
Interesting.
What do you guys think of Hurts this year? You a fan, a believer, or
I think Hurts will be an adequate fantasy quarterback.
Adequate. Mid-tier, yeah. I don't think that I'd want to start him. I don't want to start him.
I got.
I like that Kareem Hunt look over there against Kansas City. Might squeak off a touchdown or so if they start getting up on him. I don't know.
Why is Why is Cobra Kai starting Jalen Hurts?
I'm not sure.
Why is where's
He's a believer. He's got Tannehill on his
I'm not even
bench.
seeing
But
I bet he has Tannehill in his IR still from when he was on the COVID list.
Oh,
I have
okay.
a feeling Tannehill's going to come out and Tannehill's going to be in there.
Ooh.
He's got the
Yeah, that might
matchup
make
against
it a little more
Arizona.
interesting.
That's a good matchup
Yeah.
for him.
Yep. That makes
It
it a
wouldn't
little more
amaze me if he
interesting.
stuck with Hurts, but I would think Tannehill goes there. But moving on to our last matchup of the day, Aaron Rodgers' football team and Coach Tony Fisher taking on I Am Left-Handed and Coach Kyle Monroe. The left-handers are a 13-point favorite in here, our biggest favorite of the day. Jeff, let me send this one your way first. What you thinking?
I am going to go with Tony. 13 points is a lot. And
There's a lot.
even though I absolutely love Monroe's team, I think Tony finds a way to keep it close. And I don't think he wins, but I think he covers the spread. And I imagine Allen has a great game. Eckler, he's a sneaky play even with Washington. You know, it's not a great matchup, but that guy just produces. And, you know, Andrews being really the only option there on the Ravens with all the injuries to wide receivers, he's going to have a plus week this week. So I don't know. I think Monroe. I would think this is probably our highest scoring matchup, which I know it was multiple times last year. But yeah, rolling with Tony.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the lefties here. I do think it's smart of Tony to sit DeAndre Swift, and I think Raheem Mostert's going to have a monster game against Detroit. But I saw Austin Eckler pop up on the injury report today. I think it was something minor, but still, that plus a matchup against Washington just doesn't have me excited. Josh Allen can do it. Justin Jefferson can do it. Don't love Devontae Parker against New England.
At New England.
I think that there's just enough there that I think Monroe's got the firepower. I think a lot of his guys come out, start the year strong here. I got him covering that 13. Nick, where do you fall? Tiebreaker here.
Yeah, I got him covering. I think I went with all covers. How lame is that? But if I'm going to take myself on a 12, I mean, the matchups wise for Tony, I don't love all that. We have Devontae Parker. Is Julio going to score more than 11? It's yet to be seen. I do like how you mentioned, Jeff, that Mark Andrews being the target hog that is going to be the start of the year here. But I think CD is going to go off against Tampa Bay. I know it's a tough defense, but I think they're going to sling the ball around. We'll see. I think he's going to cover, though. I have been riding his team the whole time, saying how good they are. So
it's no surprise to me that Nick picked nothing but covers. That is pretty on brand. So
let's go.
All right. With all that out of the way, with our matchups taken care of, you know what it is.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
This here's Mike's. Will it happen?
All right, Mike, I got the question for you. Some Logan Thomas shade here. Is he going to finish in the top 10 tight ends this year?
It will not happen.
That was Mike's. Will it happen?
Logan Thomas hater.
All right, boys.
I'm not a lover.
Not a lover.
We're off to New Year, same us. Our favorite segment of the year.
Shut up, baby, I know it. Shut up, baby, I know it. Absolute guarantee.
The absolute guarantees. So, as you all know, you ask me we all get to make our statement, pick our statement, and we seal it with a shut up, baby, I know it, which I forgot to add to the soundboard, so I'm going to do while Jeff goes.
My absolute guarantee for this week, Nick, you'll probably like this one. You know, it was a recent trade and addition you had here. So Tyler Higbee will score more points than Noah Fant this week.
Ooh.
Trade is a positive for this week.
There it is.
You'll love to hear it. All right, Nick, what do you got?
So my shut up, baby, I know it absolute guarantee is that I will not be carrying a potato around during next year's draft weekend.
Ooh.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
To win the rivalry week, calling it now. All right. I think you're going to throw a little shade at your partner there, your rival. I'm going to throw a little bit of shade at mine. I think there's a lot of Mac Jones hype going around right now. I think Mac Jones is going to disappoint us in week 1 to start it off, and Mac Jones throws more interceptions than touchdowns this week.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, boys. With all of that being said, the year is upon us. I'm excited. I hope everybody else is excited. Good luck to you, everybody out there, unless you're playing one of us. Have a good one.
Webster's Dictionary defines radish as a swollen, pungent-tasting edible root, high in potassium, which can help lower blood pressure. Or more importantly, 3 guys spitting nonsense and talking about fantasy football. Add salt and pepper and chomp into another episode next time. See y'all later.
We're back, boys.
Starting off
Shut
strong.
up, baby.
Hell yeah. Shut up, baby. Going out. Shut up, baby.